I first met Roy Bhaskar in 2011 when he was doing a presentation on activism of the real. I was amazed by this man. He was absolutely incredible. I was really inspired by Roy, as were all the audience there at that time. And I wanted to know more about Roy's work. I wanted to know not just more about Roy's work, but I wanted to meet and know the man. I knew that Roy was a philosopher. I knew that he'd written about a philosophy called critical realism. And I knew that Roy also had a spiritual element to his philosophy. And so I began to read his work. And there's a stumbling block there, because his books are academic books. They're written for philosophers, they're written for academics, and they're complex and dense. But Roy the man is powerful, is passionate, he wants us all to be free. And so I began to ask myself, is there a way in which we could take Roy the speaker and present him to the world? And so Roy and I began to think about the possibility of a project together, a video project where Roy would just talk about critical realism, about the 3 stages of critical realism, and we would invite an audience. And in 2014, we got that project going. And over the year, Roy and I worked putting together the videos, getting the videos out onto YouTube, and really getting people interested and excited about critical realism. People who weren't philosophers, people who just were interested in the idea of freedom, or as Roy calls it, the pulse of freedom. And it was a great success, a very powerful success. We really found a way in which we were sharing complex ideas. And we wanted to do more. We were planning to do more work. And unfortunately, in November 2014, Roy died.
I thought as if I'd known him forever.
He was very empathic.
I wouldn't have finished my PhD without Roy's work.
You kept thinking about what he had to say and how he said it so simply.
He was determined and dogged in trying to be truthful.
The project that Roy and I worked on went from one of collaboration to one of legacy. And I wanted that legacy to have meaning, and I wanted people to experience that legacy. And so I began to contemplate the possibility of taking Roy's videos and turning it into a text, to transcribe into book form Roy's words that were specifically written for a way in which you and I could understand them, not academics, not people who had a huge history of understanding of philosophy, but people that were interested in a desire for freedom, an intentionality for freedom.
He was one of the most important thinkers in social theory and philosophy of science, certainly, but I think philosophy more broadly, and I hope that the time will come when he is recognized as such. I don't think there's anyone who's made such consistently innovative and important contributions. He was a creative thinker.
And it's possible to create a transcription, to turn that transcription into a published work. But of course, it needs funding. And that's why I'm here today. I'm here to ask you to support me in keeping that legacy alive. I'm asking you to support this crowdfunding campaign to get that book published. It's not just an introduction to critical realism for philosophers. It's more a guidebook of how to access within ourselves that deep core, the pulse of freedom. This project is a project to bring forth freedom into the world. And I would really appreciate and I really would enjoy your company and funding this project. Thank you.